first quarter committee meeting. And I'll just kind of go through the quarterly report, and then we'll get to our agenda for today. I have a few things we need to take care of. So our cash balance as of end of March 2023 was $25.4 million in the current expense fund. That was a little over $4 million from the same time period in 2022. I've updated the general fund reserve and contingency policy below. So with our current balance of $25.4 million, at a 25% range, we less our contingency, there's about $14.2 million in excess cash in comparison to our policy. That's not a bad thing.
Oh, it's an excess.
It's excellent, right?
As soon as I heard that word, I started looking at the cameras, to be honest with you, I did.
On the next page is our cash and investments as of the end of March of 2023. I had $249 million in cash and investments. You can see the breakdown in our checking account at the end of the month. We have $15.9 million. Our in-trust accounts are still at $66,000, and our investment portfolio is $233 million. That is both for the county and for those districts for which I'm treasurer, so that's for everybody. You can see where the market value was as of 3/31 on those investments, and then if we were to sell the investments outside of their maturity dates, what our gains and losses would be. I have no intention of selling anything at this point, so we shouldn't, those are unrealized.
Yes. Buy low, sell high.
There has been that discussion in the market, but, so, good. The benchmark per our policy is the 90-day T-bill rate, which is at 4.77% currently.
That's
Oh,
crazy.
excuse me, I'm sorry, 4.81 on the wrong line.
4.81. When's the last time a 90-day T-bill was 4.81%? That's a good question. Ask ChatGPT.
ChatGPT, right?
Right? The current state pool rate is 4.77%, and our agency treasuries yield, and this is the average, is 0.96%. It's still going to take us a while to get that up there since we have so many investments at the lower interest rates, and as I'm putting new ones on, so it'll take a while. And then you can see historic rates from 2016 to 23 for the LGIP, and then a historical look at what the Federal Reserve was for 21, 22, and 23. Investment interest collections, obviously with the LGIP rates at 4.77%, we're seeing a return on our investments above what we budgeted for 2023, and we've exceeded that by $234,000 at this point. So I did talk to Jen about whether it was necessary to do a budget amendment to increase the amount of interest that we'll be collecting this year. In this whole scheme of things, it's really not that important, but we'll review it before the end of the year if necessary. So, and then banking costs to date are very minimal at $512. The county debt recap, currently we have $18,736,000 in outstanding debt, and there's a report in your package that shows the breakdown of that. And all of the reports and all of the good stuff that associates with all of those numbers I just gave you are also in your package. Are there any questions or anything I can
Just I
answer?
appreciate the packages and having it in format so I can look at it and stuff.
So,
I really do.
Lisa, I did have just one thing to add, if I
Mhm.
could. On the reserves for the cash balance, we added a $5 million capital reserve last year, which isn't in here, or at least I didn't see it in here. So the unreserved cash is actually not
9 million
14
change.
million. Yeah,
Okay.
and then we also have the reserves for vehicles and technology replacement, and I don't think those are in here either, so.
Can you
Seven-
send
so
those to
7
me
million.
and I will add them to my report
Okay.
moving forward?
Okay.
Okay.
7, because the last time we got it was 6 million, that's us. Okay.
All right, make that note too, so I can follow back with you on the next report if I don't have that, so. Finance committee business, so under old business, project funding updates. I didn't have any updates from Loretta as of 3/31/23 for the Skokomish River restoration, so I just left the notes in here from our last meeting with her on that, and I will follow around with her and get an update for our next meeting. And then the same with the Belfair wastewater system. I don't have an additional update as of 3/31, but again, I'll get back with her and make sure we get an update for our next meeting. And only in the event that she's, needing some other financing, or I think most of it's in place, so I'm not sure if she has anything she needs from us at this point, so, but I will follow up with her on that. And then, under new business, I have, the Public Disclosure Commission requires that we sign an attestation every year. It's due next Monday. And basically, it's stating that those of us on the County Finance Committee do not hold or have a board position or own any shares in any of the banks that we currently have funds in, which at this point would be Columbia Bank and Umpqua Bank. So I do need the signatures of both Steve and Sharon on this. And it's just the top page, and you can sign anywhere in this top section right here. And I will get that sent off to them.
Just had a flashback in my first year. Remember, we had to sign off on other things saying that all these numbers were accurate. I remember going, I can't. There was so much going on at the time. We found other ways to, she found other ways to write the verbiage so that I could sign it.
Yeah.
We've come a long way. We definitely know our money and where it's at now, and
So I do this for the finance committee, and then I have to do this for each of the port districts. I don't know why I don't have to do it as treasurer for any of the other districts, but I have to do it for the port districts,
That's funny. In an odd sort of way.
right?
Any particular spot where you want?
You can pick any one of those three, I
Other than
don't,
treasurer, I'm not gonna take.
yeah.
I think the courts are also another arm of the state compared to other ones which are municipal holdings.
Yeah, they're very different taxing authorities.
Yeah, we're in the Constitution as our economic development arm, so that may be why just being the arm of the state, people realize the county, that's what we are.
And then in your packet on page 36, I had put in a recommendation, so I tried to go through the county funds on occasion and look to see how much cash each of our funds have, in cash. And most of them, for the most part, invest, have investments of some sort or another. But I was looking at the health department and community services, which is Fund 117. Generally, we've never invested for them in the past because they haven't had large sums of money. And COVID and ARPA and all of the funding that they've received federally has put them in a position that I think that we should be probably investing for them. And that is a commissioner decision because those are technically under your purview. And so if they're not invested, that cash is invested as treasurer's daily cash, just excess monies that we have on hand. And the interest earned on that goes to the current expense fund. It doesn't go to the health department, doesn't go to community services, because I haven't been authorized to invest for them. So currently, any funds, any interest that they're earning on that excess cash is going into current expense.
If you do investments with it though, and some of that money has to be turned back at the end of the year, does that create a problem? Because you can't just sell the investment.
So I would only invest in these funds in the state pool, which is liquid on a daily basis, so it can be pulled out within 24 hours.
It's a
So
no-brainer then.
It really is a no-brainer, so the funds are liquid there, it's just,
4%.
but they would earn some interest on that money and so forth. So what I would need from the finance committee is a motion, and I had put that in there to approve recommending to the Board of County Commissioners that authorization be approved for the county treasurer to invest excess funds on behalf of the Health Department, Fund 150, and the Community Services Fund 117.
Would you like me to read the recommended motion?
You can do that if you would like, yes.
Okay. Mason County Finance Committee moves to approve, recommending to the County Board of Commissioners the authorization be approved for the county treasurer to invest excess funds which are not required for immediate expenditure in the Health Department Fund 150 and the Community Support Services Fund 117 as provided for in RCW 36.29.020.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Do you have any additional questions as to this? So I just wanted to let you know.
Just real quick. on
Uh-huh.
that. So when we invest Fund 150, if any of those money, so in the past, we've always received federal funds on a reimbursement basis. So I never really was too concerned about interest. But if we receive money in advance and we have the cash in advance and we're investing it, then public health just needs to be aware that they need to track that separately as program income associated with those federal awards. So a little bit of a change with feds in the last couple of years where they're giving us the money up front, and we'll need to track any interest earned on that.
Okay, yeah, we'll have that conversation with them.
Yep.
Because I don't know how they're going to track that, because it's just gonna be a lump sum investment.
They can do it with percentages,
So
but
they
yeah.
would have to figure that out, right?
Yep, that's gonna be.
All right.
That line item he's been talking about creating, that's where that income go, he can show it that.
Correct, but the composition of the cash in
Right.
150 could be a portion of the foundational public health, the new foundational public health model, where the state is giving us money up front. That would be separate from any grant proceeds that we received up front. So
I
if we
don't know
were-
what the composition of that money
Right.
is,
Yeah.
so I
Case-
can't
case.
invest,
But if it's invested, the
you
investment.
know, by
percentage
portion,
should be-
I only can invest.
Exactly. So you
an
could,
amount.
he has the better broken down balance
Yeah.
that Lisa doesn't have access to.
But it'd be nice
So
for
he
him to
could
put it
allocate.
into that line item that he has, so where he could store it, basically.
He'll have to
So
do a
it's not
journal entry.
Yeah, so it's not I don't even like to use that word, see, it wouldn't even come out. It's not a very squishy fund.
Right, very cool.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion's approved. So I had put a resolution in here that I will bring forward to the next briefing with the commissioners to get on their agenda, and we'll move forward with that. Thank you very much, I appreciate that. The next discussion I wanted to have is in regards to safety of county funds deposited with banking institutions. And I know there's been, a few bank failures, but nothing locally. Nothing locally, and nothing that we have any funds in. But I did want to let you know that the state of Washington takes public funds very seriously, and so those banks that we invest in have to be approved by the Public Disclosure Commission. And they have to hold assets or collateral to cover public funds. So we've never had any losses in Washington State. Currently, even when the banks failed back in 2018, somewhere in there, 16, 17, 18. None of the counties lost any funds. There were a couple banks that did fail that the counties had funds in, but they were able to, get those funds back and there were no issues. So I feel very confident, and the PDC did strengthen those collateral limits after that. So currently feel very comfortable where we are with that. So I just wanted to let you know and direct you to the county treasurer's website, or excuse me, the state treasurer's website and the information on the public deposit protection commission. All the information is there on how that works. The banks that are approved for us to do deposits in are also there. There's lots of good information there. I've heard nothing coming from the state treasurer's office about anything locally within the state of Washington having any issues. And I would hear immediately. I mean, we were always in the loop when that happened several years ago, so I'm fairly confident that we're in a good spot, so.
I came up during the
That's
risk,
good to hear.
and during the risk pool, they went over some of those scenarios, and they were not worried either because of the special requirements that these banks have, as she said, to have assets to cover that. So unlike other banks that can go, have a smaller amount of assets, they have to cover the government funds, so the risk pool, everybody there came to the conclusion that everybody was comfortable.
And then the last discussion item I had is just to let you know that Columbia Bank was purchased by Umpqua Bank, and that merger took place in March. We've had a few, glitches. We've had a lot of glitches in the transition, nothing that would affect our funding in any way, shape, or form, or that sort of thing, but we're working through those. Training staff in the districts on how to use the new online banking and so forth with Umpqua, making sure that, the direct deposit ACH files are in their new formats and out there and working. So it's been a headache, and it's been a lot of extra work on my department, but we're getting there. So it could have been worse, I think, but we've been able to manage the issues that come up and resolve them quickly and so forth. So we're still working on that. I would imagine it'll take a few months to get all the glitches worked out as we come across them, but we're still working on those, so.
So that affected all the special districts?
It does, yeah, it does. It does. Yes. So, and they have 36, almost 40 different bank accounts for the county and the districts, so managing those and the changeover is, I wouldn't say eye-opening, because we, when we changed banks in 2016, it was, that was a big job, but there's always something that comes up. There's always a fire that has to be put out right this minute, so anyhow. So we're working on that, but things are going fairly well, and hopefully in the next couple of months we'll have those glitches worked out. So if you hear of anything, let me know. If any staff members have any issues, let me know. We have some great training modules. I can get one-on-one training, but for the most part I haven't heard too much from the county itself. It's been mostly the districts. So
That's good.
That's all I have for today. Is there anything else that needs to come before the Finance Committee?
Not that I can think of, I know of.
All right, perfect. Then I'm going to adjourn this meeting, and we'll meet again in about 3 months.
Yeah.
All right,
Great job.
thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Do you get all that?